Today we're going to be talking about complex sentences. Complex sentences are a really good tool that we can use to make our writing stronger and to give ourselves different styles of sentences in our writing. And they do a really good job of combining a couple of different ideas into one really good statement. Our essential question for today is how can I put two thoughts together into a strong sentence? Let's get started. First, a complex sentence has main clauses and dependent clauses. A clause is something with a subject and a predicate. So basically, when you have a clause, it just about can make a sentence, or usually is a sentence. In fact, every sentence that you see has a clause in it. It has what we're talking about and what it's doing. Now, a main clause can be a sentence by itself. Sometimes it's called an independent clause. So that main clause or independent clause is just a statement that could be a sentence. Now, a dependent clause, that's what makes something a complex sentence because it has a word in there that makes it to where it has to be combined with something else to make sense. For example, because the first word is a subordinating conjunction, the clause is dependent. In that example, we started that clause with the word because. Because is a type of clause that will make make a clause dependent. If we just said because the first word is a subordinating conjunction, if we stop there, it feels like we need more information because we do. We said that this is because of something, or because of this something happens, we need to then have what happens. So there's a lot of different words that work in a lot of different ways to make dependent clauses where we're able to then put them into complex sentences. So we're going to take a look at several different ways that we can do that. And while complex sentences have the word complex in them, they're really not that hard. They're just another tool that we can make where when we have a sentence that we want to make stronger, we use it just like a nice little Lego and just tack it on the end of a sentence or tack it on the beginning of a sentence to make that sentence better. It's not all that crazy or all that weird. It's not all that complex. It's just a way to combine two ideas. There are three ways to make a complex sentence. The first is what is called a subordinating conjunction. Now, I don't really personally feel it's important to remember the term subordinating conjunction. That doesn't really matter too much. But you should remember the words and how they're used. We have words like because, although, unless, whenever, since, if, as if, so that. And there's a whole bunch of subordinating conjunctions out there. And if you do have those, you could use them to combine two different sentences. Here we have we will win, we have we work hard, and we use the subordinating conjunction if to say we will win if we work hard. So we're able to combine two simpler ideas with that nice little Lego piece that combines them right together. And that's what a subordinating conjunction does. It's that a conjunction is a word that brings things together, brings thoughts together. And right here, the word if brings these two thoughts together. We will win if we work hard. Now remember, if we have that phrase, if we work hard, by itself, it needs more information. That's why it's a subordinating conjunction. That's why we need it there or that's why this is a dependent clause. And we need that part, we will win, to make it a full thought. We also have subordinating prepositions. Now, sometimes when you guys are making prepositional phrases, you actually are making complex sentences, and it really depends on what you combine. When we use prepositional phrases, we have a preposition and that usually just ends with a noun, but if you have a whole sentence afterwards, you've actually already been writing complex sentences. So subordinating prepositions, prepositional is relationship words that deal with time or location or how things interact with each other like after, when, while, before, once, as long as, where, until, around, and a whole bunch of others. You could look up online and find a list of 100 different prepositions real easy. We will win when we do our best. So here again, we're using that preposition when to show that we're going to just combine those two ideas. That subordinating preposition is being used as that conjunction thing, that thing that's sticking those two pieces together. So we have a sentence, we will win, a sentence, we do our best, and that word when there is going to combine those two together. So again, here we're able to use those prepositions to combine two simple thoughts into one better sentence. A third way is to use what's called a relative clause. Now, again, the name relative clause I don't think is all that important to remember, but Relative clauses uses relative pronouns or adverbs. What are those? Well, who, whomever, whenever, why, what, how, all those question words that we use all the time, those are our relative pronouns or adverbs. So we right here say, I wondered how he did it. I wondered can be a sentence by itself. He did it can be a sentence by itself. I wondered how he did it combines to make a stronger sentence. Now, these are obviously very small clauses that we're combining here, but you can do it with bigger clauses to make better sentences whenever you want to. So it's important to understand that we can use complex sentences whenever we're looking at our writing. It's like, you know what, this sentence is a little bit weak. A complex sentence is a great tool we can use just to try and make it a little bit better. Now, there are two ways to write a complex sentence. You do it the standard way or use a sentence starter. And these aren't like formal names or anything. This is how I think about them. But the standard way to usually write a complex sentence is to have a main clause and a dependent clause. So you have a sentence, then you have that word that's going to combine everything in the second part. You should do your homework. Here's our main clause. And we're going to add because you don't want detention. Now, you could always say you could do your homework because you want to get good grades, you should do your homework because you want to learn more, or because you don't want to do detention. You could write whatever you want there after that because for the reason, but here we just have a complex sentence with a main clause and a dependent clause. The main clause in blue comes first, the dependent clause comes second. The other way to do this, though, is to use that dependent clause as your sentence starter. Because you don't want detention, comma, you should do your homework. Anytime you have a weak sentence, you could add a dependent clause right at the beginning of the sentence, put a comma after it, and then make your sentence stronger. It's a really great tool that you can use to make your writing. And when you mix up both of these styles of complex sentences, it really makes your writing better. It gives it a better sound, a better feel, and you'll get better grades on your papers. So, complex sentences, what are they? They're just an easy way that we can make a simple sentence better. When we have a sentence like, you should do your homework, you could always go through and add in a relative clause. You could add in a prepositional phrase combined with another clause, or you could or preposition with another clause, or you could do as a subordinating conjunction. There's all those different ones that we looked at, and you could just look up lots of different examples. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. Just tack on a little bit more information. Just plug it in there like a Lego to make your sentence a little bit stronger. Try it out on your writing. See what you can do to make it better.